Good evening, everyone, and to another edition of our Justice and Pieces guest speaker series. Today, we are joined by Ammar. Ammar, thank you so much for taking the time. Ammar's all the way out in Calgary joining us. So, Ammar, maybe first of all, thanks again, and you can tell me a little bit about yourself and all the great things you're doing.
Thank you for having me. My name is Daniel Amar, or also known as Amar Ahmad. I am a barrister and solicitor in the province of Alberta. I'm an educator as well for the internationally trained lawyers. We have an organization called NCA Online Teacher, and we help the internationally trained lawyers from different countries to become lawyers in Canada. So anyone who has got a law degree from a common law jurisdiction, they have to pass qualifying exams called NCA exams. NCA is a government body. NCA stands for National Committee on Accreditation. So all ITLs, they apply there. NCA does the assessment, and then there are different ways to pass the exams. Candidates can do self-study, they can go to different law colleges, but if someone is looking for any extra help, then our organization can help help all those ITLs.
Yeah, so maybe you can tell us a little bit about, the NCA process there. You kind of touched on it. So there are certainly a lot of internationally trained lawyers. They come to Canada, and they want to become lawyers here, and it's not a very simple process. So maybe you could touch on some of the exams that are required or the documents that are required and the work that you do to help with that process.
Absolutely. So ITL means that anyone who has got law degree from any common law jurisdiction, all of them are termed as ITLs. There is one more bigger group. Many Canadian young graduates after doing grade 12 or after doing any undergrad, they also go to UK or Australia just to do their law degree because it is harder to get admission here in the Canadian law school. So they are also called as ITLs. Although they were born and raised here in Canada, they got their whole education here. Some of them, they prefer to go there because it takes less time. For example, someone can directly go to law school in UK after grade 12. But in Canada, we cannot go to law school after grade 12. We have to do an undergrad of 4 years, and then after 3 years, you start applying. So, in a way, it is considered a shortcut. So after grade 12, you go to UK, you do your law in 2, 3 years. And if you are here, you will still be doing the undergrad. And then by the time you come back, your class fellows are still in the undergrad and you have already completed your law degree. So they are also called ITLs in the eyes of NCA. So then they apply to NCA, and then as NCA has a policy guidelines mentioned very clearly on their website. The standard these days is there has been a change in that from March 2026. Now every candidate has to write probably now one indigenous exam is mandatory, one language requirement is mandatory, one legal research and writing exam is mandatory, and in addition to that, five more exams. So Canadian criminal law, Canadian constitutional law, Canadian administrative law, foundations of Canadian law, and professional responsibility. So in a way, eight exams is the minimum requirement which every ITL does not matter is coming from India, Nigeria, Ghana, Pakistan, Bangladesh, any common law. Even it could be from UK or Australia. Sometimes they may have to write one or two more. So they have a standardized, there is very transparency and in the NCA assessment process. So
Okay, so 8 exams. So what are those exams like? How many can you do? Are they sittings throughout the year? How many do people do at a time? I mean, anything you could share about just the format of the exam and the preparation for it.
absolutely. So NCA announces the complete year schedule ahead of the time. For example, today is April 4th, 2026. But NCA office has already announced the schedule for the whole of 2026. So these exams are held every month. So whenever you are ready, you just go purchase the exam and then write it. So you can write one exams, two exams. The whole schedule is available on the website of NCA.
And like how are they like multiple choice questions? Is it open book? Is there writing? Like maybe what's in there?
Okay, so all exams are different. NCA has also provided sample questions on the website of NCA. For example, if someone wants to see how the Canadian criminal law exam may look like, how Canadian constitutional law exam may look like, so they can go to the website of NCA, and NCA has provided them a kind of sample exams. Now, actual exam may be different, huh? We don't know about that. But most probably, NCA has given a kind of sample, so those exams can be fact pattern questions, like there is a hypothetical situations and candidates have to apply law on that. Or the exams can be essay-based questions. Huh? So no one knows about it exactly, but the samples have been provided by NCA on their website. And the passing percentage is 50%.
Okay, and so how do you prepare then? I guess is the question. You know, I know obviously you have the NCA online teaching, right? So what are some of the techniques you and the instructors share for? I mean, I know obviously you said different exams, different preparation models, but what can you maybe quickly share with anyone listening about getting ready for some of those exams?
So we have different ways to help in prepare the ITLs for the exams. So some candidates, they live in different time zones or different countries. So we have pre-recorded lectures for them. So my organization is in the private sector. It is the largest organization in Canada. Like there are 20 lawyers, Canadian lawyers, who are part of my organization, and we provide mentoring services. So I'm the founder and CEO of this organization. So we provide services for almost 12 NCA subjects. So we provide them. Option one is the candidates can only purchase recordings. So those recordings are detailed recordings of maybe 40, 50 hours of recordings. The second option is if some candidates like to attend the live classes, then we keep on conducting live classes throughout the year. So there will be a group. So members who are registered with us, they will attend the class. They can ask any questions. All my instructors who are Canadian lawyers, we explain the concepts. We tell them the summaries of the cases. We guide them how to apply law on the facts of the question. We also guide them how to write answers. So this is how we prepare the candidate. Then candidates also like to make small study group. So that has really been helpful for the candidates, because most of the candidates, they are ITL. Obviously, these NCA exams are not for the JD graduates. So ITLs coming from different countries, they have a lot of expertise and competency. But when it comes to writing the exam, so sometimes they just need to be guided that how to write the exam. So that is how we explain to them in our sessions.
So you said now again minimum of eight. So how long does it typically take, and how do you get the results, and what are kind of the steps there to go through that process?
Mm. So, in our classes, those candidates who study full time, by full time I mean 5 to 7 hours, they have completed all the process in 4 months. So 3.5, 4 months. But this is for those who study full time, like they are young, they may not be working, or they may be single, or they're full time student. Then they can do that. After that, it depends how many hours the candidate gives to the exam. If a candidate is studying, for example, only 1 hour a day, then obviously he's going to take more time. Some candidates have many responsibilities, childcare responsibilities, fully working, huh? And then they study only on Saturday, Sunday. Then they take, more than 1 year, sometimes 2 years, huh? So it all depends how many hours the candidates give to the, there is no specific time. However, John NCA gives them 5 years to complete that. For example, someone gets assessment today, April 4, 2026. So his assessment will be valid 2031. So
So I guess there's quite the range there from 4 months to 5 years if you want to kind of go
yeah,
very
yes.
slowly pace. And I mean one of the reasons obviously I reached out to you because I do have a lot of paralegal students who are internationally trained lawyers and they're like, while I'm waiting for that process, I'll do a year of, get Canadian education. And even in some cases they don't end up even going through because they're like, well, I can practice in Ontario in the similar areas. But I think there's, options there to continue to pursue that. And you don't have to, as you said, do it all at once for 4 months. What are some of the, again, maybe the mistakes that people make in preparing for the exam? And when they come to you, maybe they try to go at it on their own and they didn't get a successful result. What are the kinds of things that have changed that you help with?
Hmm. So I have frequently noticed, so they write more theoretical because maybe back home the exam pattern was different. Back home, I'm from a common law jurisdiction, so this type of examination system was not in my country. So they are used to writing theoretical answers, detailed answers, descriptive answers, essay type answers. So they are not trained to analyze the situation. Here, NCA exams, or here I have also heard the JD candidates. So there they are given a situation, hypothetical criminal law situation, or a hypothetical constitutional law situation, and then they have to apply the law on the facts. So many ITLs, they just need to be guided a little bit that write less on the descriptive side, write more on the practical side. Just apply the law. For example, if it is a criminal law section and the question is on robbery, assault, break and enter, whatever. So they have to identify the actus rea and mens rea of that section, and then they have to apply it on the accused, whether accused has committed the actus rea with the statutory condition in the same way as it has been mentioned in the section, and whether he has the requisite mens rea or not. So we only train them like that. And then me and all my instructors, we have prepared our own sample hypothetically created scenarios, and then we discuss them. So this is a very frequently committed mistake. So for example, an ITL would write more about, not all, more about what is actus rea, what is possession, what is consent, what is causation, what is omission. Now, there are also different forms of actus rea, but they have to apply the sections of causation, apply the section of possession, apply the section of consent, 265. But if someone is just writing an essay on consent, that is not what is tested. So I think this is one of the very thing I have noticed in the preparation.
Perfect. That's great advice. And so I want to kind of move on off after. I mean, I know you're in Alberta, so you maybe could speak to Alberta's process. I'm licensed in BC and Ontario, but as you know, right, the next step for internationally trained lawyers, once they go through all those exams, whether they're eight or a little bit more, then they have to go through the process of getting actually licensed in one of the Canadian provinces, whichever one that they're planning to build on. So, I mean, if it's Alberta only, or if you're familiar with some of the other, what else do internationally trained lawyers have to then do, and how do you prepare, or do you prepare them, for the barrister solicitor exams and the same kind of thing there? Maybe you can walk us through the process.
Excellent question. So the first step, John, for all the ITL is to pass the NCA exams. And NCA exams can be written from any country of the world. Before COVID, it was not allowed. After COVID, I have lawyers from Nigeria, India, Pakistan, Australia, Dubai, Middle East, like from 15 different countries attending my classes. Why? Because NCA has allowed them to write the exams online. Once they have written the NCA exam, they get a certificate of qualification, COQ, which means that their education is equivalent to a Canadian JD. Now, this is the first step, which everyone has to do, no matter someone can be a judge of the superior court in his country. I have judges attending my classes from different countries. Now, the second step is, where do you want to practice? Now, Canadian law societies, they are trying to standardize the second step. The second step, if we can call it, is the bar process. The names can be different, but basically it is the bar process. Now, in Manitoba, Saskatchewan, uh, Alberta, Nova Scotia, they have what is called CPLET system. BC just recently switched to the CPLET. Now, Alberta, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Nova Scotia, and BC. Now, they have the same step, which is called bar process, and the actual name is CPLAT. Law Society of Ontario is still having the barrister exam separately, which has 5 subjects, and solicitor exam, which has 4 subjects. Although they have also invited proposals that should they also switch to CPLAT, because we also provide services for Ontario barrister and solicitor exam. And I have seen that candidates are in a great dilemma. Should they do Alberta Bar, which is CPLAT, or should they do Ontario Bar, which is like bar and barrister and solicitor exam? So maybe just to have a uniform system in the whole of the countries. So law societies are helping the candidates so that they don't get into this dilemma, what exam they should write. So law society of Ontario has not decided so far, but other law societies, they are going into the same pattern, and that is called CPLAD. Mm.
Yeah, can you tell us a little bit more about both sort of, I think most people may be familiar with the Ontario system that are listening here, but maybe you could tell me what they do in Alberta and Saskatchewan and Nova Scotia and British Columbia, and how a candidate can prepare for that, or how you even help some of the candidates prepare for that exam. And then we can talk about Ontario and maybe a couple other places after.
Mm. So the CPLAT system, they do not have Ontario bar exam like criminal law, family law, public law, civil law. They focus more on the practical aspects of the law practice. So they don't have exams, but then they assess the candidates, they prepare the candidates as if they are going to what they are going to do when they have their own office. For example, they focus on the interviewing skills, how to conduct an interview. This can be one of their modules. Second, negotiations, how to do negotiation. Now, these things are not in LSO. Third thing can be how to write a legal research and writing. This thing is not in Ontario bar exam. Fourth thing can be oral advocacy, how to present a case before the judge. This thing is not in the LSO. So this is just a comparison. We are not saying that something is good or something is bad. Both are good. Both, every law society is doing their best to train the new ITLs. They should have entry level competencies, but this is just a comparison that here they don't test or assess during the CPLAT. They believe that candidates have already been assessed when they were doing NCS. But LSO again assess their practical knowledge by conducting the barrister exam and the solicitor exam. But here in all these 5 provinces, their focus is more on the speaking skills, oral skills, kind of confidence things, and also doing the research things. These things obviously help the lawyers when they have their own private law practice.
And how can you prepare for that? I mean, is there, so there's no like formal like assessment? Is there kind of at the end of the commitment, then they just give you kind of a certificate or of completion, or what can you do to help some of these ITLs with the process in Alberta, for example?
Most of the time, candidates do not need any kind of extra support for them because the CPLED office also provides them some kind of assistance. So they have different phases, phase one, phase two, phase three, phase four. They have different names for them, and then they have asked the lawyers who want to work with the CPLED in different capacities. So the lawyers work as facilitators, lawyers work as assessors, lawyers work as evaluators. So lawyers, the CPLED office guides them at every stage how to prepare for that. So I have heard that candidates find it easy if they follow their instructions. So most probably they don't need any help. But if someone has just a basic question that how to prepare for the interview. For example, if someone does not have any experience of conducting the interview, someone does not have even worked for 1 day with a Canadian lawyer. So if someone calls us, we can also guide them, but most of the time that process is pretty much straightforward, because in the first stages there are no exam. So those lawyers who work with CPLET, they just guide them, okay, do this, do this. They just have to follow the steps.
Okay, and then let's look at Ontario because, as you pointed out, Ontario is inviting proposals. They're looking at potentially adopting this model, and part of the studies there, as you may be well aware of, is the numbers of successful candidates who pass the barrister and solicitor exam, especially with those coming through the NCA process and internationally trained lawyers. So, what have you noticed there, and how do you support? You know, as long as that's still, at the minimum, it's probably a couple of years away if they do make the change, but how can you support your internationally trained lawyers with the barrister and solicitor exams? What are techniques and ways that you've worked at? Because again, it's very different than the NCA exams
Mhm.
that you find that ITL struggle with, and supports and solutions to overcome that.
Right. Yes, excellent question. So LSO provides them the study material. So every candidate gets access to that. So no one sells that material. Huh? Every candidate has got access to that. But just we break the concepts, and then we have our own study material. We do not use the LSO material, and then we have prepared our own brief summarized notes. Then we have also prepared our own hypothetically created multiple choice questions, because NC exam is not multiple choice questions. LSO exams are multiple choice questions. So in every sessions, I personally do not teach Ontario barrister and solicitor because I have a license in Alberta, or which is active, but and I also have license in BC where I don't do the practice. But I personally do not teach. I have lawyers who are licensed and active member of the Law Society of Ontario. So they teach, but they teach from their own material. They have prepared their own multiple choice question. Somehow candidates like it. Maybe they think indirectly that, okay, they are getting ready because whatever we have explained. For example, we explained the concept that what is the difference between joint retainer and concurrent retainer. So we have explained that. Now, when then we show them a question, okay, this is the uh, situation. Let's select the best appropriate answer. And then when we show them the question which we have created of our own, then I think that is what candidates find it helpful.
Perfect. And then, hopefully after that, whether in Ontario, Alberta, BC, then they become licensed. And again, that's still not the end of the road. As you know,
Yeah.
there's a lot of struggles for internationally trained lawyers. I mean, I know there's other organizations. I think there's a conference actually coming up. I got an invite to later this month, the ITL conference. And there's a lot of people trying to provide support So what you found with respect to, the people that you've helped now maybe help pass the NCA process, they come back to you and they say, Amar, Yar, come and help me with the barrister and solicitor in Ontario. And then you help them through there. And now they say, like they have the ceremonies. I think there was one a couple of weeks ago, right? They're licensed. And then what, right? And so what are kind of the supports that are there that you offer and help in the legal community for a lot of these who have looked up to you to guide them through the process?
Yeah, excellent question. Um, uh, Previously, I did not notice that the even after becoming lawyer, if someone has been an ITL, he still needs help. Previously, I did not notice that. Maybe the lawyers did not contact me. This problem is more with the ITLs because they don't have any Canadian experience. I'm sure you know that the JD candidates, even in their first year, they start going to Canadian courts. So they are familiar with the system. These are family law code. These are, criminal law code. This is bail code. This is the crown prosecutor, blah, blah. But they are basically aware of the basic information. But even the very senior ITLs who have never been to Canadian court, so they need to be guided about that. So recently, we have also started another service that is guiding the new lawyers. For example, someone has got license recently and he wants to learn the criminal law practice, family law practice, immigration law practice, real estate practice, intellectual property law practice. Even recently, we are starting California bar exam. So two, three lawyers they contacted me, and then I contacted a Cali. We have in our one of the mentors. He has passed California bar exam. So all instructors in my team are lawyers licensed in their respective jurisdiction. So now these for these classes there are no exams. So whenever there is a small group of new lawyers, so they would say, because I have developed a reputation that I'm kind of one-stop shop for the ITLs, starting from their accreditation process, even now later, how to do law practice. So then whenever they would contact me, I would say, okay, how many people you are, which area of law you want to learn. Then I will contact different lawyers in my network. And then I would say, okay, John, are you interested in guiding 4 or 5 people? I have also seen that sometimes, the new lawyers, they will start practicing in one area of law. For example, you might be doing criminal law. After 5 years, you realize, oh, I think I should now learn maybe intellectual property rights or corporate law. So, lawyers keep on changing from one practice area to another. So we also have sometime lawyers who are already doing law practice for the last 4 or 5 years, but then they would say, now I want to learn this specific area. Then I would, so now we have classes for the Canadian lawyers as well in any area of law. We are covering 6, 7 areas where mostly people do, but even intellectual property rights, commercial law, real estate, family law, criminal law, uh, we are we have classes for those areas of laws as well.
Perfect, Amar. So thank you so much for taking the time and joining me and sharing about that. I don't know if there's anything else that we didn't touch on about all the different great services that you have, especially for the ITL community. Anything else that you'd want to mention that you do, and how can people maybe reach out to you if they are internationally trained lawyers and they're listening to this and they're not part of your network already?
Uh, Thank you for having me. So, I guess, John, pretty much you have covered everything, but this is just a flyer or poster of our team. So, different lawyers, all of them are lawyers in different provinces in BC, in Alberta, in Ontario. So, they do practice in different areas of law. So, and then I also provide like free consultation call, and this poster is everywhere. My phone number is everywhere, 403-848-0200. Anyone can contact me. Then I also have almost 30 WhatsApp group where I'm connected with 6,000 ITLs. So WhatsApp allows 1,024 members in one group. So my three groups are already full because they have different purposes. For example, anyone wants to have a free consultation call with me, so there is a free call with Ammar. Then we have free Ontario bar. So we have almost 15 free groups where we keep on posting free recordings on every subject. Then we have also 15 regular group. Regular group mean those who are registered with us, and then we meet them three times in 1 week. Huh? And then if anyone wants to contact me, so the name of my website is NCA Online Teacher. So if you just type on the Google, it will show up. And then also, I have recently started, John, you might have seen that I'm trying to help promote my ITL community or anyone. So if we type in the Google, this is our website, NCA Online Teacher. These are free recordings available, like 14 free recordings. So you can see criminal law, PR, constitutional law, administrative law, anyone can access them. They are also connected with our YouTube channel, NCA Online Teacher. Anyone can access them. This website is available in the whole of the world. I recently, John, started. This is called Canadian Lawyers. I think I just started, and then 86 lawyers or law firms have joined this. This is also like a kind of lawyers directory. So I would say 65, 70% of them have been attending my classes, but now they are lawyers in different provinces of Canada. And there is no fee for that. I just do to promote my friends, my lawyers. It is not a requirement that you have to be my student in the past. Anyone can send me and then say, sir, please add my profile there. And because my website is visited by thousands of law professionals, so it is a good way of for just for more visibility of their services. So I don't involve, for example, anyone needs any one of them, they would just go and find them. Huh? So I don't intervene. I don't work as a referral there. People just contact them. So that is what I'm doing my best to help and the ITL community.
Well, that's excellent. Look at how many people that you've helped, and again, these things they're free of charge, lots of free stuff. So I would commend you, and I'm sure the ITL community really commends you for all the support, all the people. As an educator myself, when you help somebody pass an exam or you help somebody get a client or whatever you may do, there's that sense of reward, and too often it ends up being a very thankless work that you're spending a lot of free time and trying to help people. So on behalf of all those people, I'd just like to say thank you for all you do. And if you have any final words of wisdom, again, I know it's a very tough legal landscape for internationally trained lawyers. We always have this joke. I mean, it's not it should be a joke, but it's like your taxi driver, your Uber driver in Toronto is a lawyer somewhere else, and they're
Yes.
just trying to make it work. And so I want to see those kinds of people succeed, across the country where they have that talent and they come to Canada and they should be able to cultivate that talent and find a process to be accredited here. So, any words of wisdom for those people who are discouraged through the process? And once again, thank you, Amar, for taking the time to talk to me today.
Thank you so much, John, for having me. I know you are doing wonderful job. You have helped hundreds of paralegals. Actually, some of your paralegal candidates. So we have combined. So once first you help them in preparing for their paralegal, and then after doing paralegal, now they want to make further progress. So then they will be joining me, and then they have been. I have heard great stories about you. You are a dedicated and committed teacher. I would say not a word of wisdom. Every lawyer already has a wisdom. It is just, I would just inspire them, motivate them by saying that every ITL has a great potential. As you were saying, in Toronto area, you see many Uber drivers or some other people doing the basic job. What gives me most motivation is, John, I have seen new immigrants coming from different countries. And then it made me so emotional one time. I was teaching class at 8 a.m. And then I was asking one of my student that I'm asking you, so why you are not replying to my question and your camera is off? And then she did not reply me. After the class, she told me, Sir, I work as a security guard in the Walmart the whole night and I come back at 7:30 and then I attend your class. That made me so emotional that how much motivation those people have, that they are awake the whole night working as just a basic job. But then she was determined that I have to become a lawyer. This is the motivation I also get from the ITL, that they are working so much hard. I have seen moms with three, four kids sitting in their laps and attending my classes. All of them are now lawyers. So my message is to every ITL: you have a great potential. You can do that. You were already a lawyer. You just have to tell another time that now I am a Canadian lawyer. With that, I end my conversation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Amar, and thank you for everyone for tuning in. All the best. Take
Thank you.
care.
Thank you.